Conversation on commodities with David Lennox, the resource analyst at Fat Prophets. Hi David, always a pleasure chatting with you. Thanks so much for joining us here on Skype. So much news over the weekend is continuing to trickle in with Donald Trump's tweet. But let me first begin with crude. We're getting so much news on crude. Look at the bounce back in the Brent and NYMEX futures as well, and that famous handshake now between Russia and Saudi Arabia. You got Qatar threatening to pull out of the OPEC, and it's all happening before the OPEC meet. Do you really believe that the bear rally that we had seen in the markets, in the crude markets, has come to a grinding halt, and there's only one way crude is now going to head, which is up, considering the two largest oil producers in the world have decided to cut supply?
Oh, look, there's no doubt about it that we have seen quite a volatility in the oil prices over the last couple of trading periods. And it has all primarily come about on the back of rhetoric rather than any action at this point in time. And yes, with the Saudis and Russia now perhaps are looking to agree on oil cuts in 2019, and we're now in December, the last month of 2018, those cuts are potentially not that far away now. And if that's the case, then yes, we have now seen probably the back of that very sharp fall that we've seen in the oil prices from about $85 for Brent mid-October to where it sits now at $62. So those cuts will be very keenly watched for by traders, and in fact, if OPEC can continue to comply, as we have seen them done now in the most recent times, comply with whatever agreement they come to in the Vienna meeting, then I think the oil prices slide is now probably at an end.
So in a sense, that is what you're saying, that there's only one way for crude to go up. And what about Qatar planning to threatening to leave the OPEC? Do you see that actually taking place? Could this also be a precursor to maybe other members following suit?
Oh, look, there's no doubt that that particular country has or is going to perhaps pull out on the back of the fact that it's not got very good relations with a number of the members inside OPEC. Look, that's always been the case in terms of OPEC. There's always some country bickering with another country inside that organisation. So whether or not Qatar does pull out, it probably really doesn't matter. It is only a very small player in the scheme of things when it comes to oil. So from that point of view, we could see OPEC quite quickly adjust should Qatar go on its own. We however, don't think that that will be the case. The organisation's managed to survive, as I've said, with the other members always bickering. And you've got to remember there's two reasonably big producers that are on opposite sides of wars in various countries in the neighbourhood. So from that view, we think the Qatar announcement is perhaps just a little bit of a storm in a teacup.
David, what do you think is the problem with crude? Do you think it had become a consensus bullish trade, and that's why with the negative news flow coming in, it probably has seen such a sharp fall?
Look, I think what we've seen happen is the market has become very confused. And with that confusion, as soon as we saw any possibility on the downside in terms of pricing, it really did jump on that. And we saw traders very quickly start shorting the crude markets. And that is primarily because we just really had no idea what was concrete facts. We've had the Saudis come out and say one thing and then reverse that rhetoric almost completely, not that much soon after. We've had Russia come out and say, look, we'll support prices, and then they're now saying, well, yes, we're going to definitely support cuts. So there was really no concrete factor that we could put our hands on, apart from there was a lot of uncertainty in supply, and there was growing uncertainty around the size of demand. And with that, that certainly did allow the oil price to quickly capitulate from those mid-$85 regions for Brent.
Right, David, thanks so much for your perspective.